Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gentry's Journey. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we have a special guest, and she's no stranger to Gentry's Journey. She has been on before. We met at a health fair. So she is also an author and a retiree who has not retired. So I'm going to let Ms. Brooks introduce herself and tell us about her journey.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Miss Carolyn Coleman, for having me on Gentry's Journey. And I always appreciate an opportunity to share my story, testimony. So hopefully it'll encourage and help someone else. Uh,
Absolutely.
let's see. Joyce E. Brooks, originally from Pritchard, Alabama, been residing in Birmingham since 1991. So I guess we can call that home too. But when it comes to, let me just get to the breast cancer thing. It was 2008, living my best life, working for Alabama Power, married, got two small boys, active in my church, in the community. I'm just a busy bee. I'm superwoman and found out I didn't have superpowers. Went to my annual checkup and they saw something on my mammogram. Next thing you know, they had diagnosed me with stage 1 breast cancer. I was 42. Totally blindsided me. And I ended up having 30 rounds of radiation. But what really opened my eyes during anytime someone is diagnosed with any illness, okay, but in my case with breast cancer, I didn't see it coming because I had no signs or symptoms. But I will encourage everybody, and even males need to get it now. Get checked every year. The, because had I not been committed to making sure I was getting my checkups, it could have been stage something else. So we're going to thank God that it was stage 1.
Amen.
And I
Amen.
did do the 30 rounds. And even after the 30 rounds, months after that, I ended up with shingles because the immune system had been compromised. But I'm going to say, in my case, being diagnosed with breast cancer caused a lot of growth, spiritual growth, personal growth in me because it allowed me an opportunity to step back and really assess what's important. And that's faith, family, and fun because life is short.
That's true.
Faith, family, and fun. I did make some changes health wise following that diagnosis. I ended up losing almost 20 pounds. Start reading labels, start getting sleep. And I think above all, because I ended up writing self-inflicted overload during this time because journaling and writing was therapeutic to me. I realized maybe I'm in this condition because I'm doing too much. I'm taking care of everybody and everything, but I'm not doing a good job of taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So we made it through. And
Okay.
I took medication, a drug called tamoxifen for 5 years, and it was supposed to help decrease your chances for a reoccurrence. Well, I guess it did for 5 years. But in 2019, I was diagnosed with breast cancer again
Okay.
and was blindsided because once again, there was no signs or symptoms, but I continued to every year have my checkup.
Okay.
And this time it was in the same breast, and they said radiation wasn't an option. So they recommended a mastectomy,
Mm-hmm.
which I can say when people say they're grieving, it's not always because a loved one has died. Sometimes you grieve when a part of your body got to change or what you expected to happen didn't happen. You could be grieving a job
True.
promotion. You thought you
True.
were going to get a promotion, you didn't get it. Now for the next 6 months, you got attitude. Well, I was grieving the loss of my sense of security that cancer was gone, and I
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have to deal with this anymore. But once again, um, Made it through. I ended up having a double mastectomy and diagnosed in February 2019 and had surgery in April 2019, and then I did reconstruction. But once again, I learned from these experiences. It's an opportunity to grow spiritually and personally. This time, it made me realize that in life you're going to have shifts, SHIFT. It may not always look like it's a shift when things occur, but if you look back over your life, you'll see that the Lord brings you through seasons for different reasons and at different times. But I always say the key thing, He's bringing you through.
Amen.
So He brought me through the diagnosis in '08. He brought me through the diagnosis in 2019. And all the other ups and downs that life offers us, it's just another opportunity to see His hand at work. Just trust and believe that He's going to bring you through this one too, so that you can tell somebody how good He is.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Yeah, but if I was talking to the younger version of myself, the 42 cancer diagnosis person, I would tell her, slow down, put yourself first on your to-do list,
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself spiritually, physically, mentally, because I think a lot of the battle is in the mind.
True.
I do believe that there's power in our thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
if you think it's over, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
But I live by the motto: it ain't over. It still ain't over.
I
It
agree.
won't be over until He say it's over, and even then, I'm going to be sitting in my mansion. So,
Amen. I agree. I agree.
but yes, I would emphasize to the 42-year-old version that set your priorities and make sure you take care of yourself. Um, and then if I was speaking to my 52-year-old version, when I was diagnosed again, I would remind myself that's what life does. Life, that's just part of life.
Mm-hmm.
And don't worry about what hasn't happened. When it does occur, you pull on all your resources, all your strength, all your prayer, and you get ready to go through it. Life is going to happen. We assume that when you say you believe in God, nothing's never going to go wrong. Things do happen, but you have to decide how are you going to respond to it. I can't control, perfect example, who's on Pennsylvania Avenue right now,
True.
just messing up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion, just in case somebody else likes them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, I can only control what is in my zip code and my address.
Sure.
And worrying about things that have not occurred can contribute to affecting your health. So that's what I would tell my 52-year-old self. You don't control nothing. Just deal with it when it occurs and know that you got a history of the Lord showing you He'll bring you through.
That is so on point. I, when you say that, I say that a lot. We control nothing. We can try, we can think, we can feel as though we got it going on, things are going our way, but it doesn't take but one slip, and I mean a physical slip. You might slip on a floor. You walk that floor all the time. You slip on that floor, then you start having hip pain. You start having leg pain. You start having knee pain, and then you can't walk the way you want to for a while, or things change, and then you're like, well, what happened? It doesn't take but a minute. And I often tell people, we don't know what we're walking around here with. We're just going through the motions. And it's okay to it's okay to think that things are going well, But until you bite that bitter pill or swallow that bitter pill or find out that you ate something you shouldn't, then you have a whole change of heart and of mind. And so I often tell people, don't get too haughty. Don't get too up on yourself because I've seen a lot of sick people in my 40 years of nursing that were doing just fine. And then life happened. Some are, I mean, like you say, when we go through something, we're not really expecting it, and we're going to, why me? I've heard a lot of patients, why me? I did this. I did this. I did all the right things. Why me? And I was like, you can be a testament to someone else. We don't know why you're in this position, but we know that if you fight through it, you can be a testament to someone else. It might not be just about you, it may be about other people around you. And they were like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. And I said, you got too much on your mind. Let's get this through. Let's get over this. It's okay to have your pity party. I'm not gonna tell you not to, because that's not even fair.
Right.
Because like you talk about this, grief, the stages of grief. It doesn't have to be the loss of a loved one. It can be the loss of anything. And you know, and I gotta go through this. Never in my life do it. I think I would have to go through this. And I was like, I don't think anybody paints the picture of their future of having an illness. I just don't think anyone does that. So, now that it's here, let's deal with it. And, after a while, like the next day, they will start to come around. They'll start to receive what I have to say. And not that I'm preachy. I just want to encourage people, because if you have, like you say, it begins in your mind. You can't have a negative attitude and expect positive results. You,
Yeah, you said something. Yep.
yeah, you've got to want to heal. And I have a huge problem with people. Oh yeah, they said they found this, but I'm just gonna go and do what I gotta do. I'm like, okay then. Yeah, all right. You know best, but don't expect everybody to come, because some people don't know how to receive your information. Everybody doesn't know how to receive your diagnosis. They hate it, but they don't know how to approach you. Now, did you find that situation happen with one or both of your diagnoses?
Well, the first time, like I said, I was so blindsided. I didn't even talk about it. Even when I was going through radiation, I could have took short-term disability during those 6 weeks, but I continued to go to work because I'm thinking I'm woman and I don't want nobody to know my business. And I don't know why I approached it like it was something to be embarrassed about, like, oh, I got cancer, what did I do? And all. So I was real, real quiet about it. And then, I mean, I didn't even share it with my church family until after everything was over with. But in the
Hmm.
back of my mind, I was thinking, everybody who say they praying for you don't spell it the same way.
Isn't that the truth?
You know,
They do not. I've seen it and heard it, and I've
it's
been shocked by it.
right. So the first go round, I was off the grid. I was in
Hmm.
my own little world. It was just me and my family, my sisters, um, giving me support and encouragement. I didn't make it public at all until
Hmm.
after everything was over with. Now, second go round, I'm mature, I'm grown, I'm bolder, and I know God got a reason for this, and
Hmm.
I need to make sure folks know, I got this, but I also got God got me, so we're gonna
Yeah.
be all right.
Hmm.
Um, and when it came to how people approach me or share with me, I hope to have a spirit of discernment. You usually can tell in the first few minutes of coming into an encounter with someone if this is God sent or not.
True.
Um, and you
True.
can gracefully, make a person aware because everybody don't even believe in God. Even
Yes.
for me to take that approach because I was told, well, why don't you just go holistically, drink your green juices and all that. Because I heard this and I heard that. And I'm like, yeah, I can drink some green juice, but these people have gone and done research and everything, and I don't want to play with that. God did not tell me don't get, normal treatment. He didn't tell me to drink green juice, so I'm
Mhm.
not going to listen to you. Uh, but you meet all kinds of individuals. But it's funny that you cross paths with people after this journey. I was at Sprout Saturday and I saw this lady who had a breast cancer awareness shirt on in the parking lot, and engaged her. I said, "Excuse me, are you a survivor?" And she said, "No, no, my cousin is, and she's a three-time." I'm like, "What? Three-time? Three? Don't say three." I'm like, Lord, I did too. But even in that conversation, that was a perfect example that she testified about how her cousin has come through each time and the different things. And it was an encouragement to me,
True,
you know.
true. And I find it best if you don't know what to say, don't say anything at all. Because I wear my breast cancer hat all the time. And every now and then people will ask me, are you a survivor? I said, no, I'm wearing this and I'm wearing this for other survivors. I mean, but I wear mine year round. I said, because you never know. Um, I can usually look and tell an individual that is going through something. I don't intrude. Someone was saying, you see her? She got her mask on. She got the hat pulled down over her ear. I said, I see someone who probably got a diagnosis and they just probably had their first or second round of chemo. And so she has her hat on. She has it down toward her ears because she doesn't want it to come off. And she has a mask on to protect her and you. Okay. And they were like, I never saw it like that. I said, when you've been a nurse for a while, you pick up on clues that people have. I said, she doesn't owe any of us an explanation, but she wants to come out. She wants to just shop to get her mind off of what's going on. But she wants to protect herself at the same time. So we need to be kind of cognizant of certain things and people's mannerism about different things. So, and be respectful. Just be respectful because just like you, a lot of people don't tell until they're either in the middle or that they're finished
Yeah,
with their treatment. And that's because they have to rationalize it in their own mind that I'm going through something I never thought I'd go through before.
right, right,
So it's okay to be private, but most people once you're there love a living testimony. They need to hear that, but still has to be on that individual's time frame.
right,
Everyone is different. I often tell people don't push people beyond where they're ready to go
right.
because
Because it is a grieving process. It's just
mhm,
like grieving because you be in denial, then you're negotiating with God. I mean, you go through all anger,
yes,
why me, Lord, all that. But then eventually you come to terms with the reality that this is my life right now in this season, and mentally it's going to be okay. I
it
don't
is.
know how, I
Mhm.
don't know when, but I know it will.
Well, that's a faith journey right there. All I know is I trust in God. I trust in God. I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know when, but I know I trust Him.
Right.
Now, earlier you spoke about nutrition.
Hmm.
Now, did you change your diet? Did you start exercising? Did you do any of those type of things to help build you up once you got the energy for that?
Yes, I did. I mean, you know, whether it's true or not, some studies say sugar is a big deal. I know I was a sugar addict. I love my every meal. Every time you go out, I'm looking at the dessert menu and everything. So that was one of the first things that I cut back on, is my sweets, having
Mm-hmm.
having sugar. In terms of exercise, and I actually got a trainer. I
Okay.
started working with a trainer because I had read something about all this visceral fat and how you eat has a big bearing on the cells in your body. So, and now I'm fully committed to my little exercise regimen. Every morning, I walk at a minimum 2 miles before I get up at 5:30. Me and my neighbor leave at 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still on that. Keep moving, keep exercising. Beverages are zero interest. You're not gonna see a Coke, Sprite, none of that in my hand. Now I still got my fits on my. I'm a Southerner. I gotta have my sweet tea, but that's a reward on the weekend. It's not every day. I used to make a big pitcher of sweet tea daily, but now I do my one day. Sleep is important too. I mean, I put all that. I got the dark out curtains. I put the temperature in the right place. I do everything that was suggested that would make you better physically. I try it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not let me be clear. This is not I'm perfect at this. It's the 80-20 rule thing. If I can do it 80% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
I'm way ahead of the game, and I'm gonna celebrate that because we all fall off the wagon. You know, um,
True.
it's just like I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and when you're on vacation, you're not trying to exercise.
No, no.
You're not
You
trying.
want to deviate from the norm.
Right, exactly. But yeah, your nutrition and your mobility, I even broke down and joined the senior center
Mm-hmm.
because I said I'm in a season that I want to make sure if I'm in the third lap of life, I always consider life as 25 years per lap. I,
Sure.
I want to make it to 100. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the far end of the lap three. I want to make sure when I get in the fourth lap, I can still move. I'm still active and energized, and the main thing that helps you have that fuel is what you put in your body. I read labels. If I can't pronounce it, I don't want it. Mono, whatever. What's that? Mono. I don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my niece, who's a trainer, she said, look on the back of the label. Everything that you see on the label, go find it in the grocery store. I said, what? She said, you're not going to find monosaccharate this or bio. I can't pronounce this stuff. She said, it's not in the grocery store. It's a preservative. It's a
Mm-hmm.
man-made chemical. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know how it affects you. But an apple is an apple.
Yeah,
Celery is celery.
sure.
It's no artificial. But yes, I definitely encourage that. And the exercising part is not just physical, it's mental too. It helps clear the mind. Just walking, fresh air, just walk.
It really is. It really does help if you're just walking, as you say. Um, a lot of times if I'm stressed at work, and that's when I was working on site, when I left, wherever I saw the first track is where I pulled over. I just needed to walk it off, basically, because stress is not a healer. No, it will take you down,
Yeah.
and a lot of things you can't express when you are working. You can't express yourself, or you can't express yourself in a healthy form, keep that synergy at work. You be the turned everybody off. So I keep a pair of gym shoes in the back seat. And I will, if the weather's okay, I will, the first track I find, I will pull over and I will walk. But I haven't been as diligent uh since COVID. I was in the gym. You might as well have called me a gym bunny. I was in the gym 5, 6 days a week doing something and was addicted to it, loved it, did it for several years. I started doing weights when I was in college and I just loved it. But life, you fall off. I'm just trying at this point in time to get back on track. So I'm doing whatever I can to get back on track because I really do enjoy it. Like I said, it's a good stress buster. You feel better once you finish. You're just up. You're just up and staying up. I try to eat right, but I'm like you, I'm a sugar person. I am. I'm trying to cut back because I had a little scare a couple of weeks ago.
What
Uh,
happened?
my tongue got real thick and went to the right side. I was like, wait a minute now. So here come the nurse in me. I was like, oh Lord, I don't want to have no stroke. But I called 911 and my
Okay.
blood pressure was over 200 in both arms. And I was like, wow, so I
What
did.
happened? Where'd that come from?
And that's what I want to know. I know I was having some issues with vertigo. But that was toning down. But I just walked away to go to the kitchen, probably get some sweet tea. And I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and I went, oh, my tongue was so thick, and it went to the right. And I said, girl, let me get off this phone. I said, look like I'm trying to have a stroke up in here, and I ain't trying to have one. And so she started praying right then and there. And my husband was downstairs, and so I had my bobby pins in. So I'm thinking like a nurse. They're gonna want to do a CT scan. They're gonna do this. I had already planned out my plan of care. So I pulled all my bobby pins out, combed my hair down, got dressed appropriately, and I told my husband I need to go to the hospital because I think I'm having a stroke. And so we called 911. He said, "How we going?" I said 911. And because I've never had these type of issues. So when you say seasons in life, that I'm the one to help you when you're having one. I'm not the one that's having one. But it turned out, everything turned out fine. But I spent a day and a half in the hospital, but they ran every test that I had in mind that they should run. Okay.
Okay.
I did. I didn't tell them, I don't go in flashing my badge or anything like that or giving it my credential because I am the patient. But they ran every test I needed them to run to ensure that that things were going to be clear. But before all that happened, I was just stressed about this, that, and the other, this person, that person, just a lot going on. And I was praying for them. And so when I was riding in the ambulance, I was like, Lord, I'm praying for everybody but myself. So it's time for me to put myself first. And, I still need to do some things. But, I can't have all this weight on me because it is too much. You're carrying weight that you really don't need to carry, but when you love your family members and your friends and they're going through some, not just hiccups, they're going through some things that are pretty tough, you can't but help but to reach out to them and try to support them and encourage them. And I was like, wait a minute now, somebody got to be strong and well around here. So let it be me. No, let it be me. So I am I'm better. My pressure is better. They wanted it to come down naturally, and that's what we have done. They allowed it to do when I was in the hospital. Didn't really start me on anything heavy, just something for my cholesterol, but they never gave me the number. But I think they did it as a prevention
Okay.
because my last blood work was okay. But I'm just saying, we just don't know. We don't know who, what, when, where, and how. And I was intermittently working out 3 days a week. Now I went from 5 to 6 days a week down to 3 days a week. So that doesn't match. So now I'm trying to get back to 4 days a week. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm doing something every day and I'm trying to do at least 30 minutes. And when I was doing the 6 days a week, I was exercising because I was in the pool with the water aerobics. So I was doing at least 2 hours a day. So you
Okay.
to go from 2 hours to 30 minutes, you're going backwards. I don't, I was just going backwards and not forward. And wasn't drinking my water like I used to. I used to keep water at my desk. And so I'm like, I got to change some stuff. And so I have made those changes and just trying to stick with them. So because when you become ill, that's a wake up call, in
Oh,
my humble opinion.
yeah.
It's a wake up call. And, I don't play about my health. I don't even like patients who pretend to be sick when they're not. You know them. You have that spirit of discernment. I'd be like, you got this kind of time. You ought to be ashamed. That's what I be saying to myself. And people who don't take their illnesses seriously, they bother me too, because you're wasting time of people who really want to care for you and get you better, and you're playing around with yourself. Because I'm just gonna walk up out of here. Well, sir, you're free to do that. You are absolutely free to do that. But I just don't advise it. So I said, but we're more serious about your health than you are. That's just, let's flip the coin around.
They don't appreciate the gift they've been given.
They don't. They really, really don't. Until they come in and truly have had a full-fledged stroke. And you be like, okay, you kept on, you kept on. And now you've had a big one and you can't do what you were doing when you weren't. And it's not that these particular people that I have in mind weren't able, they just didn't want to. They didn't want to modify their lifestyle. They didn't want to rest. They didn't want to change. Um, but then you're forced to, because now you have a stroke where you have right-sided weakness. Um,
Mm.
he enjoyed being he was a dresser. You could tell when he came in, when he left out, he'd leave out on his phone. Yeah, I'm at the hospital now. I'll be around there to see you. I'll be like, you need to go somewhere and sit down. You need to sit down. That's what she need to be coming to you. But it's just people, I'd rather people take their health seriously. That's when you really have a change. You can talk about, oh, I've changed, I've done this, I've done, no, it needs to be manifested. And we need to see it somewhere. That's what we need to do. So, that's what I have in mind when I talk about change.
All right, give me one moment. Uh, Carolyn, you remember what I said about?
Uh-huh. Okay, they have arrived and that's fine. So I think we've covered everything. What do you think? You gave your
Covered
testimony.
everything. I can close it out by saying I encourage every individual to always put themselves first on the priority to-do list and do not be, what's the word, embarrassed, shamed, or feel guilty about taking care of yourself. When you take care of yourself, you'll be able to take care of everybody else who you love. And that's what it's about. Breast cancer is not a death sentence. It's just an opportunity for you to be reminded to take care of yourself.
That's great. Thank you so much. Go ahead and handle that. And I appreciate you being a return guest. Okay.
You take care.
All right. You as well, sweetie.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.